So, I'm going to begin a series of talks where I unpack the idea of self deception and hopefully help anybody listening to really go beyond self deception, right? Self deception, the really core definition of it is living in a way where I am not taking full responsibility for my life, right? So, when I am in a realization of oneness and wholeness, I realize that there is no inner or outer. There is no inner or outer. So if you have lived a life where a lot of people in your world have deceived you, it's because you deceive yourself. This is obviously very empowering, and it's also a testament to the design of the universe, and it's this mirror quality is a testament to the unconditional love of God, because it's designed to help us see what we are doing to ourselves so that we can come into a place of wholeness and empowerment and trust and mastery and an embodiment of God consciousness. So if you have lived a life where you're always having to forgive big situations, I would ask oneself, right? Were there many instances along the way, probably at the very beginning of an interaction, whether it's the meeting of an intimate partner or a friend or a business partner, where you detected very loudly something off, right? So let's say you hired someone to do business with you, and in your belly you felt all kinds of signals, right? Signals that were telling you, that were feedback from the universe. This is not really your true self, right? It's not that they're bad. It's not that we're judging them as dark. It's that this is not really in alignment with the real you. And we ignore it. Why do we ignore these signs, these very loud signals from our body? Well, one of the reasons is desire. When ancient scriptures talk about being desireless, what they're saying is when you do not feel whole, right? When you want something from a situation, when you need something from a situation, whether it's an emotional need or a financial need, your ability to see things as they are becomes unclear, right? So the desire. So right off the bat, we know that if we don't feel whole, right? If we pedestalize other people, if we pedestalize spiritual teachers, gurus, anybody as being wiser or more valuable than us, we are deceiving ourselves. We are in self-deception, and that deception clouds reality. So people talk about, for example, our emotional guidance system. Emotional guidance system. Well, if something makes me happy, then it's right for me. If something doesn't make me happy, it's not right for me. And I acknowledge that some people are actually designed to listen to their intuition in that specific way. However, my experience, and I guess, whoever's listening may resonate with this if you're attracted to me and my energy. The way my intuition works is that it's very binary, right? So if something is presented to me, I feel a very hard no, like breaks inside of my body. No. And we all have that in our body. Our body speaks to us. And in my life, every time I've gone against that, the situation built and built and built to a point where I ended up feeling deceived. But the truth is, I deceived myself because I decided to move into a situation ignoring my guidance. And in my particular life, ignoring that guidance creates illness in the body. So illness, whether it's physical, financial, emotional, it's all about your allowance or disallowance of your source. So if your source is speaking to you in real-time feedback, like, no, this is not the healer I want to work with. No, this is not the person I want to marry. No, this is not the babysitter I want to hire for my children. And then we wonder, like, oh, how did this happen? How did this deception come out of nowhere? It didn't. You just talked yourself out of listening to your intuition at the beginning. So it's all about, really, like, people ask me, how do I live an intuitive life? How do I sharpen my intuition? And there's many different ways to sharpen intuition, whether it's psychic or having visions or dream yoga. But I'm talking about something very grounded, which is the truth is a living thing. The truth is a living thing. Truth is a living thing. So in the present moment, you have all the information you ever need about anything, because your source is speaking to you in a very obvious way that it might not feel obvious because you've trained yourself over time to ignore it. But I'm going to show you, I'm going to teach you some of the ways that we cloud it so that you can just reveal what's always been there. Another thing besides desire, right? If I don't feel whole and I desire something from a situation, whether it's, well, a big part, an unhealed part of me is choosing a partner for some reason. Maybe it's a financial reason. Maybe it's because they make me feel secure in other ways. But if you're choosing that from a place of not feeling secure within yourself, you might not be available to other information that's telling you, like, this really isn't the ultimate partner that you're really looking for. And maybe they are the ultimate partner. Maybe the deception operating with you is that you are unworthy of love. So you're not allowing love into your life. So you create distance and you create chaos in your life to keep it away from you. You have to do your own personal inquiry as to what it is that's operating. But that's all unnecessary for what I'm speaking to now. What I'm speaking to now is there's always a present moment feedback that is clear that you can trust. And every time I've felt that, and my life has progressed years down the road or even months down the road, and I look back, and in my life the truth always reveals itself. And the truth always reveals itself in our lives, right? At some point something comes into my reality where it's like, oh, no wonder I wasn't attracted to that situation. No wonder, one of the things that clouds our intuition is trickster archetypes, right? The battered wife, glamorizing the institution of marriage, pedestalizing people, therefore making yourself always inferior, or making yourself always better than someone. Maybe you attract situations where you feed on the feeling of being better than everyone, because that's what you're actually wanting to experience. You're wanting to experience your own emotional addiction of superiority rather than what your heart is truly guiding you to, right? So that's another form of self-deception. Anytime you make yourself better or worse than anyone, you're in self-deception, because everybody is God. Everybody is equally as worthy of love. Everybody has value. Everybody has gifts. Everybody's on their own path. Everybody's creating their reality. So the question is just, how are you creating your reality? If you have experienced a theme of deception in your life, you have a habit of deceiving self. So we deceive ourselves by ignoring the body's feedback. We deceive ourselves by judging others, by blaming others. If you always were attuned to this feedback, you would never blame anyone. You would never arrive in a place where you blame anyone. You really are blaming yourself for not listening to something that was information that you had, that you talked yourself out of, that you felt unworthy of receiving. So whenever we're judging people, right? If we're judging people, we are avoiding a feeling, right? we're avoiding our own humanity. We are avoiding creating and realizing deep compassion for our own humanity. Life is not black and white. You know, like we have ideas about how things should be and how people should behave, and we really don't know the nuanced experience that they're having and the struggle that they're having, and what other people are experiencing should be none of your business. Your business is, what is the feedback I am getting? And this is so important and vital. And I use the words, sometimes when I refer to ignoring intuition, I use the words selling my soul. How are you selling your soul? So if a business, opportunity comes to you and it feels just, you notice all of these things that are fundamentally off to you, but your desire for money right now, or your desire for something there, is more seductive than that information. In that moment, you are selling your soul, and it's okay. That's okay. We all have an inner prostitute. It's one of the archetypes. But the goal of life is to no longer be owned by those archetypes, right? 95% of our consciousness is locked in those archetypes, in those, the tyrant, the martyr, the savior, the prostitute, the damsel in distress, right? None of that is the real us. But when in neuroscience, they say 95% of our personality is hardwired by the time we're 35 years old. That means that 95% of our consciousness is operating from a place of seduction and manipulation. Why? Because we don't know that we're the creator. That's the ultimate deception. The ultimate deception is that I do not create my reality. Therefore, people are deceiving me. Therefore, they did this to me. This is a hard pill to swallow for some people. So I've heard a lot of people ask law of attraction teachers, how did I create rape? Well, you didn't force the person to do that to you. That's not your fault. You didn't get in their mind and tell them to do it. You didn't make someone do that to you. However, you put yourself in a situation that felt off to you because the source within you would never lead you into danger, and you ignored it, right? So again, the reasons that we ignore things, we feel unworthy of guidance. We don't feel whole. Our desire energy makes clouds reality for us so that we don't see things as we are. Our feelings are deception that we are inferior and that we are basically subhuman pieces of shit that don't deserve guidance. That kind of attitude towards ourselves leads us into danger, but the guidance was always there. It's just that the mind became stronger than the feedback. And it's okay. We have compassion because, like I said, 95% of our consciousness is locked in deception. So it's just important to be aware of that. It's like, if we begin from the foundation that we create our reality, and if we keep having this story of betrayal or deception, it's because we betray ourselves. It's because moment to moment, the truth is a living thing, right? So that means today, if I don't feel like picking up a phone call, if I really don't feel like doing it, I should not. Right? If I want to live in wholeness and just go with what feels right and not be puppeted by feelings of guilt and obligation, I just won't pick up the phone. And that choice, that seemingly small but enormous choice, is everything, because when you train yourself to do it in seemingly unimportant situations, you grow the muscle to be able to do it in more seductive situations where your desire is seducing you. So when we don't feel whole, right, we think we need things from others. I've heard this conversation lately about needs, about we have needs. My experience of needs is that we just, I wouldn't say I have needs. I say I am who I am. So when I'm living in alignment, I naturally give myself what I need. And when I'm in the energy of wholeness, I attract other people who are harmonious and compatible. So if I'm kind to myself, I attract like loving friends. If I'm kind to myself, if I'm harmonious with my own self, I attract partners who easily resolve conflicts with me, who are willing to have conversations. If I'm willing to be with my humanity, others are willing to be with my humanity, and they don't blame and react to me. They 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 use conflict as a reason to come closer to me, not further away. Do you see what I mean? So when people talk about needs, that could be one layer of healing where we're still not in creator consciousness, and I honor that layer, right? Sometimes we need to vent, sometimes we need to say, you did this to me and that made me so upset, and like that's valid. That's completely valid. Just this video is speaking to a different layer of the embodiment process, where we're really living from a place of wholeness and creator consciousness. I create my reality. I can trust myself, right? So we are in self-deception when we are not feeling whole. When we convince ourselves that we need something from someone else, we're in self-deception. When we are willing to sell our soul and compromise our values for money or any other kind of security, we are in self-deception. When we are judging or blaming another person for our life, we are in self-deception. When we are making ourselves inferior or superior to anyone, we are in self-deception, right? And when we are incessantly blaming and pointing out what other people are doing, we're avoiding an emotion inside of us, whether it's betrayal, the hurt of betrayal, the humiliation of betrayal, that if we were to sit with that emotion for long enough, we could break through to the real issue. It's like, wait a minute, this situation humiliated me, but the truth is that I put myself in this situation. And then I kept myself in this situation to play out this need I have from a place of lack, to feel deceived. Because the universe is trying to tell me that I'm deceiving myself. Denial is very thick, and self-deception is very thick. And I have so much compassion for this journey because, you know, even if I see this in humanity, like even if a woman or a man was sexually abused and they have children that say, Mom, Dad, somebody's abusing me at school, and like sometimes the parents don't believe the kids. And like that's how thick denial is, right? That's how they're not trying to hurt the children. It's just that being at one with reality can be very challenging because we have to come to terms with, we have to be willing to feel the feelings that didn't complete themselves as children, right? We have to be able, and people are such escape artists that they're not willing to feel, so they keep creating the very thing that they experienced. And on another level, right, everybody's creating, nothing has ever gone wrong. The child that created that experience is a soul creating their reality as well. So it's like, we don't blame parents, we don't blame anyone for anything. I'm just saying, like, I know how difficult it is to get out of self-deception because we are so mired in it. Because we have been trained incessantly to ignore ourselves, to ignore what we know, to ignore the living truth. The fact that the truth is a living thing, that's just something to get used to. It's like the mind wants to create stability and say, okay, well, this feels off, so that means that person is never right for me. Not necessarily, not necessarily. But you should listen to the offness now. That's all you need to know. You're not crazy. You're not crazy. You are receiving information that's simply trying to guide you into a place, but then we get afraid of being alone. Then fear comes in. We get afraid of being alone. We get afraid of time shortage, right? That's something that recently broke through for me. Oh my God, I'm this age and I don't have a child. So that desire and that fear clouds my ability to see things as they are. And the ultimate seeing is like, wow, everything is so incredibly perfect. You are always in the right place at the right time. Nothing has ever gone wrong. You have never made a mistake. And none of the times you deceived yourself were mistakes either. But for whoever is ready to hear this message, I will continue to unpack self-deception, how to go beyond it, the ways that it manifests in the personality, and how to train ourselves to really start to trust the in-the-moment feedback that we are always receiving and that we can truly trust. And I have compassion for that habit of like going up into the head and doubting. Doubt is another big deceiver. Oh, I received information that was not a whisper, it was a scream, but I must be crazy. But no, that person's such a nice person. They would never do that. No. And just a little PSA about pedestalizing people. And one of the trickster's favorite playing grounds is the spiritual world. And the real Aquarian age is where we're all equal. We're all equal. We're all channels. We're all connected to our higher self. We're all intuitive. We're all source energy. A person having powers or abilities, or even that they're being recognized in any capacity, doesn't mean anything. I have known, there's an unfortunate example in Brazil of a man that had very impressive healing abilities, and he went to jail for doing awful things. So it's really important, while we live in a world of deception that we created, because we have been deceiving ourselves that we are not God, that we break through that creation. Do not put anyone on a pedestal. Do not let the appearance of something powerful cancel out your intuition. I hope that this is helpful. It is with the most sincere love of humanity that I share these things. I've walked everything that I talk about, and I have deep compassion. And I hope you have a beautiful day.